This is Pulse 95.
Pulse 95.
It's the Morning Majlis. It's the Morning Majlis.
Well, really exciting news in terms of travel destinations, and Austria, that's the place that's going to people are going to be talking all about it because it's going to be welcoming tourists from the United Arab Emirates and across the GCC starting July. So it's going to reopen to vaccinated travelers with no quarantine being imposed. And what a unique country.
Yeah, it's great. There's another country that they've added to the list for UAE travelers as well, apart from Switzerland and Germany opening up their borders in July. This is going to be welcome news. I'm sure a lot of European travelers or travelers to the European destinations from the UAE will be very, very pleased to hear this, and especially when it comes to the fact that there are not going to be any quarantine rules, and 6 vaccines are accepted for travel, which include Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, Sinovac, and guess what? Sinopharm as well.
Amazing.
It is great. So a lot of you who have been vaccinated with Sinopharm are okay to travel. Now, another interesting fact that I found as well, I was just trying to do some research. Let's say, for example, people were to go to Switzerland or even Germany or any other destinations after arriving into Schengen. Apparently, if you are arriving in Germany via a vehicle, so if you rented a car in Austria and decided to go into Germany, then your cost is there is no requirement for a negative test or even a proof of vaccination or recovery. That's according to this website about the German travel advisory. But on travels from, to, or within Schengen, passing through Germany, and when leaving Germany by the fastest route, the following rules apply, which means digital entry registration and quarantine do not apply. Or a negative test or proof of vaccination or recovery is necessary for all travels to Germany, but all air travels and not land travel. So if you're going to a Schengen zone and driving in, you're okay. So that means things are going well, but you still need to have your vaccination certificate with you no matter where you go. And in Germany so far, Sinopharm is not valid, but if you're traveling from Schengen zone, you might be able to get away with it. You never know. But it's best to check with the local authorities when you do visit the Schengen zone. But it is going to be great, to be honest. Lots more destinations added to the list. But Austria is pretty great. It's a pretty cool spot.
Pretty cool spot indeed, and so much to do. If you want to stay in the heart of the city and its historical districts, so much to do there, in Vienna in particular. Or you can even have a getaway at an alpine stay and enjoy the views and mountains as well. I've been reading facts about Austria, and there's a thing they call Schmäh, that's how it's pronounced, and it denotes this Austrian sense of humor. You could call it good-natured banter, and it's rather common in the way that when people, for instance, give you a compliment, they'll make fun of you a little bit too. So if you do go to Austria and somebody's making fun of you, most likely it's a good-natured ribbing. Just something to keep in mind in terms of the culture there. But yeah, what a beautiful place. Vienna in particular is one of my destinations that I really want to visit.
Yeah, I've been down there actually. It's quite a cool place, yeah, and definitely have a schnitzel when you're down there. It's a very it's a delicacy of Bavaria and Austria and Germany and that part of the world in general. So definitely do give that a shout. One thing I did miss out on was going to Salzburg. Everyone has been talking about Salzburg, so kind of shocked that I missed out on that. So so if you do go down there, do try it out and do visit it for sure, and I'm sure you won't regret it. But a lot of people who've been talking to us about it, they've been sending some pictures as well, and Salzburg is just a great destination to visit if you are planning your trip to Austria for the summer holidays. Let us know in the text lines 4215 any of your travel tips and advisories. According to the United Arab Emirates government's announcement, non-vaccinated people. Residents should not travel if they're not vaccinated. It is going to cause trouble. It's going to cause issues, unnecessary complications, and you don't want to be dealt with the red tape of Europe. I'm going to tell you that for sure from now. Do not get involved over there, but just make sure that you are protecting yourself with the right procedures and getting yourself vaccinated in time as well. Stay with us on the Morning Majlis. We'll be returning right after the business headlines.
Pulse 95. Between local lines. Notes from the Emirate.
Yes, and we're looking at enhanced precautionary measures being enacted here in the Emirate of Sharjah as authorities are looking at reducing the number of worshippers in some mosques across the Emirate starting this week. And it's called the Salama campaign. Sharjah police has noted that the move is going to be undertaken to reduce the number of worshippers at mosque. In this limited space at some mosques will result in, or often right now results in worshippers praying outside mosques in hot summer temperatures as well. So what they're going to try to do is divert the worshippers who are heading to these mosques and have them go elsewhere.
Yes, and it's great in terms of getting those informations delivered. This information delivered early as well, because they'll be looking at limiting the space because of the hot summer months as well. Under the campaign, workers' buses will be diverted to large mosques in main areas. Worshippers coming from industrial areas have been informed more about the move via their text messages previously sent to their employers. The messages explain the aim of the campaign and stress the need to reduce overcrowding in some mosques during the Friday prayers. And they've also called on the community members and various entities to unify the efforts by public health and safety protocols and continue to limiting the spread of COVID-19. And this is also a good move as well. So this is called the Salama campaign to help the workers reach the mosques where they can be accommodated properly as well.
Yeah, indeed. And the way they're going to do it is they're going to be sending messages to the laborers' respective companies, and they'll relay that message to their employees as well in order to, according to Sharjah police, educate them about the precautionary measures and inform them of where they need to be in order to make this as safe as possible for everybody as well. And the Sharjah police has also stated that they aim to enhance safety measures in mosques located within all kinds of areas, both industrial, commercial, and residential as well.
Yeah, and if you're kind of concerned about the rise in number of cases, yesterday we had Dr. Farida Al-Husani, the official spokeswoman of the NCEMA, the National Crisis and Emergency Management Authority, and also for the UAE health sector. She did that discussion saying that the number of deaths in the country has increased recently in comparison to previous week, and they say it's due to the spread of the viral mutations and lack of commitment to preventative measures. Unfortunately, most fatalities are among UAE residents and visitors who are unvaccinated. And according to recent statistics, a total of 94% of the COVID-19 deaths have been among the unvaccinated people. Only 6% of COVID deaths are among the vaccinated population. These rates were also evident in the cases admitted to intensive care units in hospitals, where the highest percentage of non-vaccinated people admitted was at 92%. While the percentage of vaccinated people stood at 8%, according to Dr. Farida Al-Husani, who was giving a bit of a briefing yesterday about it all.
Yeah, and it's very clear from those statements that the COVID-19 vaccine has been effective in reducing the number of patients who need hospitalization and intensive care as well. And the vaccines have also lowered the rate of deaths as well. Really no reason not to get those vaccines. What's alarming as well is, according to Dr. Al-Husani, is that the COVID-19 variants that have been recently detected here in the UAE include the Alpha, Beta, and Delta variant, which are now the most common mutations detected in many countries across the world. Those mutations are more transmissible So it's very, very important right now to get those vaccines. What I find interesting in that press conference is she spoke about the number of people who've been vaccinated. She said 71% of our population has received the vaccine so far. And when you compare that number to other countries around the world, it's staggeringly high.
Uh-oh. Wow.
It's really good, 71%.
Yep, exactly. So it is, it's all about down to us as well to get those vaccines as well, to make sure. And the big question is, and the big statement here is, there's going to be a lot of us who are going to be thinking, yes, summer holidays are here, summer vibes, schools are off, and let's go and have a cracking time in multiple destinations that are opening up. We'll be talking to you about Austria as well later on in the program, how they're going to be opening up. The government is urging these people not to travel if you are unvaccinated. Apart from potential restrictions and issues that you might face in your host country wherever you go, the problems will be as well for your health. You're exposing yourself to more risks and mutations. And yes, we have a very high vaccination rate in the country. I think we should all get those doses and jabs that are necessary to protect ourselves and protect our community and make it a bit more convenient for the world of travel. We'll be hearing from the Canadian consulate as well later on this week. Because we will be touching upon this idea that with the resumption of flights and a lot of Canadians willing to go back to Canada, especially during the summer, there's some preconditions. Sinopharm as a vaccine, for example, is not recognized yet by their medical departments. So you've got to be making your choices in terms of the vaccine doses that you want to get. So a lot of it is going to be discussed as well later on this week on Canada Day on the 1st of July, yes. And would love to get your thoughts as well on the text lines 4215. If you are planning on traveling, where would you like to travel to as well? Well, stay with us on the Morning Majlis. We're going to be talking to you up next about the world of new normal in education, as that was discussed by the Sharjah Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We'll be discussing those in greater detail, so do stay tuned to Pulse 95, and the Majlis shall return after some musical entertainment.
Pulse 95.
The Morning Majlis, talking the stories that are shaping headlines. This is Pulse 95.
This is Pulse 95, and a very warm welcome back onto the program. And we're going to be talking to you about a couple of big things that are happening in the world of renovations. We all like something new, don't we? We all like to pimp up our crib, as people would like to say. Looking at the situation, Buckingham Palace renovations. They've renovated and made changes as part of their 10-year refurbishment plan in the Buckingham Palace. And according to royal accounts of the past financial year, they have been worth £31.6 million, or $44 million. They've been spent on Buckingham Palace renovations. This is an increase from £16.4 million the year before.
That's a lot of money.
If I renovate my house for 1,000 dirhams and then I do it again for 1,000 dirhams, I'll have serious questions to answer saying why. But this is millions of pounds.
Millions of pounds, and the Queen, I mean, she spends most of her time at Windsor Castle as well, so it's not like she's refurbishing her main place of residence. But yeah, it's a lot of money being poured into renovations for Buckingham Palace, and pretty good reasons to pay such money, because it's more than just a home. It's also the headquarters of the British monarchy and the official London residence for UK sovereigns since 1837. It's got 775 rooms, including 19 staterooms, 52 royal and guest bedrooms, 188 staff bedrooms, 92 offices, and 78 bathrooms as well. And right now, the palace is the monarch's main office and function space, and the fact the Queen still uses it makes it one of the biggest tourist attractions in London.
Looking at the price, to go visit the staterooms and the garden at the Buckingham Palace, one has to pay £60 as a general cost. as a tourist is going in. So you can understand where the renovations could be refunded from. You know.
Yeah. And a lot of people do visit the property every year as well, especially the invited guests as well, because they host various banquets, lunches, and various garden parties as well when it comes to key national celebrations and commemorations, like the Queen's Platinum Jubilee set to take place next summer. Buckingham Palace is going to be center to that as well. And yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the pictures here, and that's a lot of work to be done here.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing in terms of how they've been refurbishing it and getting it all up and running. And they're looking at the Platinum Jubilee celebrations, and they're looking at garden parties, of course. And so they're looking at modernization of the grand entrance hall, the picture gallery, looking at electrics and plumbing for sure. And the palace remains the official London residence of UK sovereign since 1837. So it's not just Queen Elizabeth II maybe funding it for herself, it is for future generations as well. So it's you could say it's okay and they also host about 50,000 people per year, which is incredible. And so we'll see what happens really in terms of the future indeed.
Yeah, and speaking of the future, I mean, we've got a couple events to look forward to in terms of what the royal family is up to. Prince William and Harry will reunite. In fact, next week, reportedly, at the unveiling of a statue they commissioned for their mother, Diana. This is going to take place in the sunken garden of Kensington Palace. They'll be joined by members of the statue committees, as well as the sculptor and garden designer as well. And we also have our celebration of Prince William that's taking place at Windsor Castle, excuse me. My mind is in the sci-fi realm. But yeah, there will be a public display celebrating his life achievements as Britain's longest-serving consort as well. So that's going to be taking place soon as well.
I just did a quick maths here, by the way, and looking at the cost in terms of what's happened with these £60 entries. For example, if 50,000 visitors go, and all 50,000 do the grand tour of the garden room as well, garden and the rooms, is £3 million a year. And let's say they haven't renovated in 10 years, so that makes it £30 million are there in their pocket, and then still the renovation is costing £369 million. So they might have been collecting specifically that money for about 100 years and decided to refurbish. You never know. But then, of course, there's also taxpayers' money that is coming in, and you know, generic tourism tax and costs of visas, making some money from that as well. So yeah, it makes sense. Massive tourist attraction, revamp it.
Pretty covered, yeah. And I like how the Queen's still doing things there, even though they're still building it. In fact, recently met with Prime Minister Boris Johnson at the palace, in fact. So that's pretty neat as well. And we expect her to use, according to reports, her administrative hub in London more frequently over the next coming months as well. So she's going to be pretty active there too.
Exactly. So much is there to look forward to indeed, and we will take a bit of a breather now. Let's soak in the musical entertainment that we've got on offer here on the Morning Majlis, and then up next again, the world of travel for sure. So much to look forward to during the discussions. If you are planning your summer holidays, if you're looking at traveling abroad, this is a conversation that you've got to tune into and also contribute to on the text lines 4215.
Pulse 95.
The Morning Majlis, talking the stories that are shaping headlines. This is Pulse 95.
This is Pulse 95, and a very warm welcome back onto the Morning Majlis. We're talking about what's happening over in Pakistan in terms of helping the youth, or urging them to prepare themselves for the biggest tree plantation campaign in the country's history ahead of the monsoon season this year. So what happened is the Prime Minister Imran Khan took to Twitter yesterday, and he shared an infographic that showed the number of trees per person in different countries. And according to the chart, there are about 10,163 trees per person in Canada.
Wow.
Little did we know.
Yeah.
699 in the United States, 130 in China, and 28 trees per person in India. Whereas in Pakistan, he says, there are 5 trees per person. So he says that we have a lot of catching up to do. And we will be gearing up this monsoon season for our plantation drive, the biggest in the country's history. And this is not a new thing. He's made this announcement before as well.
He certainly has. In fact, earlier this year, Prime Minister Imran Khan launched the Spring Tree Plantation campaign, vowing that his government would make a green Pakistan by planting 10 billion trees. According to Pakistan's economic survey from 2020 to 2021 that was released just last month, the target of planting around 350 million trees and 814.6 million plants across the country has been achieved. And the success of the Billion Trees Afforestation Project in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa encouraged the government to launch this tree planting campaign across the country, a program that was approved by the Executive Committee of the National Economic Council at a cost of 125 billion rupees. The program was launched for the revival of forest and wildlife resources in Pakistan and is intended to improve the overall conservation of existing protected areas, besides promoting ecotourism, community engagement, and job creation as well.
Yeah, and look, forest schemes itself has been there for a while. It was in the 2015 Climate Accord, which had counted all countries and urged them to have offset their carbon emissions from fossil fuel by planting or foresting trees. China aims to plant trees over an area up to 4 size of the United Kingdom, and California is also allowing forest owners to sell credits to CO2 emitting companies, and other American states are also looking at similar programs. The European Union is also moving towards allowing countries to include forest planning in their plans to fight climate change. This is a great initiative, and it's very, very important that countries are looking at doing this. And as per the plans, during the first phase, there'll be plantation and regeneration of 3.2 billion trees, which will be completed according to the Prime Minister's plans. And they say that apart from the atmospheric health, it reduces greenhouse gas effects, lowers cases of random floods, lowering rains, droughts, and also enhancing other biodiversity supportive actions.
Yeah, and pretty cool the way they're incentivizing young people to do this as well. In fact, students in universities are being offered extra grades for planting 20 saplings as well. So they're essentially requiring university graduates to plant at least 20 trees during the course of their education, according to Pakistan's Minister of Climate Change, Zartaj Gul. So this is really cool.
It definitely is very cool. I think I'd definitely take it to plant trees to get better grades.
Yeah, why
that
not?
would have been a nice boost to my academic career for sure. But yeah, great to see some incentives out there, and great to see some hard work that is being put in place to help the foresting of the country, and also having more green spaces, because that is quite crucial and very important for the aesthetics for the city as well. Well, stay with us here on the Morning Majlis. We'll continue the discussions on the program. We'll quickly move on and shift our focus back to the Emirate of Sharjah with all the news and details you need to know as you are waking up this morning, especially when it comes to an understanding of why there are going to be some limits of worshippers in Sharjah mosques. Stay tuned. This is the Morning Majlis, only on Pulse 95.
If you liked this episode of The Morning Majlis, drop a like and subscribe.
95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.
Pulse.